let's be candid. You made your money probably some gambling rackets. Obviously, you did admit to possibly doing drugs, and you kind of made money illegally. How did that work? Did you kind of get your money, kind of get out and dump it into legal stuff and then roll it out that way? Or was the money too good on the legal side where you had to say, damn, I'm making that so much money, I can't cut it off. It's just too much bread. How did you balance that out?
No, you would take your illegal money, and listen, the majority of this money is coming from drugs, obviously.
Yeah.
And that's where all the money's at. I mean, we're also in the sports business. We're also in the loan shark business. We're also hijacking and, other crimes, washing money for drug checks and, different things like that. But the sale of drugs is where your money's at. And if you're half-witted, you know to put it into business. And, you can carry that business and make sure it gets off. So, if a business is struggling a little bit, you're making so much illegal money in cash that you can carry the business until it does get off and promote it. So, one of the things is when I got indicted I was indicted for RICO racketeering for illegal enterprises. And those illegal enterprises were my parking companies and my nightclub business and my window business. And I would just keep funneling my illegal drug money into the legal businesses and be able to pull out checks, be able to build your credit, be able to turn around and open up other business legitimately through the banking system.
All right, so I know this is obvious. You got to remember, I am a civilian when it comes to this life. I'm fascinated with it nevertheless, but I'm a civilian. You see the Gotti movie kind of portrayed Carlo Gambino specifically saying, if you deal, you die, right? So is this the type of thing where the made guys would not do it and use associates to do it and turn a blind eye? Or are made men also, doing and selling drugs and just everybody's doing it and it's bullshit that, that there's a rule or there's not a rule? Talk us through that, because the Godfather makes it look like the Italian Mafia does not do drugs. Meanwhile, it's probably some of the biggest drug dealers. So walk us through how that dynamic works.
Well, if you remember the Godfather, Marlon Brando, there was a famous scene when he was refusing, the Corleone family was refusing to sell drugs, and his lawyer was Tom Hayden.
Tom Hagen, yes.
And he advises Marlon Brando that they need to change with the times, and they're going to have no choice but to go into the drug business because everybody else is in the drug business. And that's really a fact of what went on. Everybody that, I can list mobster after mobster made guys that were bosses, under bosses, and down that were in the drug business. So the fallacy of made guys and bosses and different people and associated with the mob weren't in the drug business is almost, laughable, to even deny that at this point. There's too much history and too many guys that came in and spoke about it and were involved in it, and they give up the intricacies of the drug business and how we were bringing it in different ways, from the French Connection to the pizza connection to other schemes that have been going on in large scales to that effect. And then you got the smaller drug schemes that are going on through each country that are, funneling into this country. So everybody knows there's millions and millions and billions of dollars that are in that business, that industry. So where there's money, is where you're going to see street guys and guys maneuvering.
Now, you brought up the pizza connection, and I read the book, and that's actually, most of those guys were at Knickerbocker Avenue. I think it was at in Brooklyn, and then some of those guys were also out of Queens as well. What's that relation? So obviously the Sicilians back then were importing a ton of heroin, I think in the tune of $1.6 billion, and they were working with, obviously, the local Italian mob. What's the connection there? When you were, let's say you're out in the city and you run into a Sicilian guy, is it known? Are you guys kind of partners with those guys? Do they do their thing, you do your thing? What's the connection between the old school Sicilian guys that may be operating here in the U.S. versus maybe the knockaround guy who's Brooklyn born? What's that relationship? Because I was always kind of fascinated by that dynamic.
Well, to me, the Sicilian ways of the mob were more successful than the American mob. The American mob, I think, brings down the ability and the structure of the mob by the way they behave, the way they talk, the way they act. In Italy, on the other side, they're more quiet, they're more laid back, and they're more violent. But more violent only when it's necessary, and they lead by their violence, and they intimidate, and they make their money. But they stay to their code as far as the way they move drugs and things that are coming in and out of this country over the years were destroyed more on this side, on the American side, than on their side.